Namaskar, everyone, my respected elders, brothers, and sisters across the world. Namaste, namaste, and very joyful greetings to all. I never heard something like this confluence of humanity, power, and spirituality. Wonderful. So it's truly a pleasure for me to share my keynote address at the 13th World Confluence of Humanity, Power, and Spirituality, organized by Shri Foundation. So I would like to begin by first expressing my gratitude, heartfelt gratitude to Sri Hari Prasad Kanoria ji, Chairman, Universal Spirituality and Humanity Foundation, and Chairman, Shri Foundation. Also, gratitude to Sri Hemant Kanoria ji, Chairman of Shri Infrastructure and Finance Limited, Board of Trustees of Kanoria Foundation, and Dr. Rahul Verma, the Director of World Confluence of Humanity, Power and Spirituality, for having invited me to deliver this keynote address at this very august event. It is indeed a pleasure to be here with you all this evening. The subject that was given to me to expound is on destiny versus freedom of choice. I had an opportunity of listening to two August Padwal family members. Perhaps I don't know if Kavita and Anuradha are related, I wonder. But they had good insight, and I appreciate striking difference. Anuradha was trying to differentiate between religion and spirituality. She boldly says, my family was not religious per se, but we were spiritual. Most religious people, they end up believing in destiny. They go from one astrologer to another astrologer, from one temple to another temple, from one religious guru to another religious guru, and try to see what is in their destiny. And hopefully, by evoking the presence of higher Almighty, change their destiny once and for all so that they can live happily ever after. Is it possible? So we're going to dissect this. What is destiny after all? If destiny was fixed, then why am I struggling, working so hard? Or if I'm suffering so much, why am I struggling to get out of this struggle in order to free myself from pain and misery? If I had to earn billions, why am I struggling to work hard? If all these things was fixed in my destiny. I'd like to share with you one episode from Ramayana, which is well known, but nevertheless, it is worth mentioning here since it has all the significance that destiny is not everything. Either I can change my destiny with my own hard work by changing my attitude, my thoughts, my orientation to the whole life. They all can change my destiny, or others can influence my destiny. Ramayana story is very relevant here. You know, Rishi Vasishtha is one of the Sapta Rishis. They have insight and foresight. He was the one who matched the zodiacs of Lord Rama and Mother Sita. He said, this is a perfect pair. Nothing can go wrong with this marriage. Raja Dasharatha was happy to hear this, and on good opportune event, he fixed the wedding of Lord Rama with Mother Sita. Great. And you have seen how this destiny that was predicted by Vasishtha, sage Vasishtha, that they will live happily. It's a perfect match. But anything and everything that can go wrong with in the life of such a divine couple, Mother Sita, who was a divinity incarnated, how can she suffer despite of this predicted destiny? Something changed. Their attitudes were perfect. Their lifestyle was ideal, matchless. Even till today, no one can match their ideals and moral strength or moral power. Yet they suffered like nobody. What was the cause? What changed the destiny? It was no less a person than Mother Kaikai. She ended up changing the whole scenario. You all know the story, what transpired there. So there are influences which are beyond our control. Either your father will change your destiny, or your mother will change your destiny, or your loved ones. Often the loved ones can influence so much that your life either blooms like a beautiful flower or destroyed and crushed under elephant's legs. I'll give you one more example. Suppose you fall in love with someone, you love that person so much, but because of your caste system or etc., or class system, or because of whatever reason your parents or her parents reject this relationship, then what will happen? There is a chain reaction of misery. Person you love whom you could not marry will suffer, you will suffer. Person whom you marry will suffer, person she marries will suffer, and there is a chain reaction of misery after misery. So who is deciding this dynamic nature of destiny? All of us. I am not the only one who is deciding my destiny, but other members whom we love so much, whom we listen. Of course, it's one way of saying, to hell with this. I'm not going to listen to my father if he says I should not marry the one I love. But that also creates a level of misery. Not listening to father will create guilt in your heart. So when it comes to making such decisions, one has to be very careful, very, very careful. Not just you, but all family members involved in this very important thing has to come together, resonate. And this is possible when everyone is on the same page. But is it possible? In this world where everyone has their opinions and differences, they say differences strengthens a family. But when? Say, when I'm seated with my granddaughter, when she spurts her mouth, when she does like that, or she eats a chocolate or a grain of rice, and having finished half rice in her hands, she takes it and puts it in my mouth. Or she dribbles like this and starts throwing her spit on my face sometimes. What happens at that time? Had it been somebody else, I would have gotten upset. But just because she's my granddaughter, I end up going through all that. So the level of tolerance or level of acceptance depends upon how I relate myself with the other person. That other person whom I love so much dissolves any kind of friction, any kind of differences. Imagine when I come home from hard day at work. Generally, most of us return home by 7, 8 o'clock. But suppose by God forbid, and we get stuck either in traffic or in the office, and we end up calling, dear Papa or Mommy, or you end up calling your wife, so I'll be late today. And you have to explain everything to her. Then another time, sorry, because of this, I'm coming late. And then once you start expressing the true feeling that because of this, and then it gets into a kind of slowly diluted into, oh, I had a company which I could not avoid, and I had to take this guest out for dinner. So such last minute messages, and every now and then where you have to express yourself to your loved ones. What do you think of that? Where every moment you have to express your loved one the reasons behind your actions, versus even before you say anything and your beloved says, it's okay, you don't have to explain all these things. Let's not waste time. Come, join me. That's an ideal relationship. Where at every move you have to explain yourself, your situation. That is not an ideal relationship. But where true love exists, it builds relationship. It strengthens a relationship. As they say in science, entropy. Entropy means measure of disintegration. Every system, if it is not supported by constant input, it tends to decay itself. For example, a child's room, or Sister Anuradha, for example, if she is not making effort with her abhyas, abhyas is also an input of energy. If you're a master carpenter, or if you're a master mason, or a doctor, or a very special cook, if you're not practicing this, then this input or lack of input will spoil the talent which was inborn or that you have groomed because of your practice. So when it comes to spirituality, practice is everything. And more than a practice, how you approach the object of your love makes a difference. Attitude is more important than the practice itself. When you approach God or goddesses in the religious tradition, for example, there is always a demand from your side. Ma, or my Lord, if you help me with this, I will do that. There is a transaction. There is a strong belief system that if I do this, automatically that thing will happen. Right, wrong, or it's a matter of statistical evidences. It's up to you all to decide. But in spirituality, where your belief system, your faith is built by your own experiences, you can never go wrong. And when your faith or your belief system or your trust develops as a result of personal experience, then you're creating a strong bridge between your heart and the Lord whom you are worshipping. This worship or spiritual approach towards God is no longer restricted to 5-minute puja or once a year puja on Dashera or once a year puja on Krishna Janmashtami or Ramanavami. No, it is not even depending upon your daily ritualistic practice, be it morning, be it evening, or both. But your whole life, moment after moment, remains imbued with your heart in presence of God, with presence of God. And this divinity continues to guide us all throughout the life, every moment. So, meditation, though we may meditate once in the morning, but the state of meditation continues even after we have completed that 10 minutes or 15 minutes of meditation. So meditativeness remains 24/7. What is that drives an individual in meditation? Most people, including myself, I'm a big fan of Paramahansa Ramakrishna, who influenced my life beyond one can imagine at a very early age. I used to cry like a child every night, praying to him, why did you leave so early? I mean, century back. I wish to have a guru like you who can guide me. Vivekananda was very fortunate to have a guru like Ramakrishna Paramahansa. It used to evoke so much of sadness and inner cry in my heart. See? I don't think without this inner cry, I would have found a worthwhile spiritual path. That took me to resorting to copying Swami Vivekananda. That I would sit quietly and meditate the way he used to meditate, the way he has described himself, how he used to meditate. But there was no method given in the literature. So I would just sit quietly, close my eyes, and pretend as if I was meditating. God knows how many days or months I would continue practicing like this during my college days. One day, a good friend of mine came up to me and says, why don't you stop wasting time with this meditation you're practicing? I'll take you to a lady. She's a preceptor of Heartfulness way. She'll give you a taste of samadhi. I said, why not? I'm ever willing to try anything and everything in order to experience divinity. So that's how my spiritual journey began. Because in Heartfulness way, they use the technique of pranahuti. And it is because of this pranahuti that one is able to dive very deep and attain a state of samadhi in the very first session. You need not be a strong practitioner or not. It's not needed that you believe in God or you don't believe in God. It's okay. As long as you do this practice, where a preceptor or a guru will transmit to us, and you feel the effect of this yogic pranahuti in our heart, and that experience continues moment after moment. Again, next day morning we meditate, the experience again is intensified, and the same experience will never be repeated again. Every day it will be one better than the another experience. The key thing is, I can see a different view. For example, when I am climbing on a mountain, for example, if I'm stuck at one height, compare that with my height of consciousness. If I'm seeing things and feeling things the same every day, that means I'm stuck at one level of consciousness. This yogic transmission or pranahuti will shift my consciousness to another higher level with each meditation, to another level of super consciousness. Also, it will help me dive deeper into my subconsciousness. So the gap between super and subconsciousness slowly widens. And because of this broadening of my consciousness, I'm able to make better decisions. Better decisions not depending upon my past. My past may help me logically to arrive at a particular decision. It can help me make a rightful decision. But my past biases, my past cognitive biases can also hinder and unfortunately can make me make wrong decisions as well. Suppose I have prejudice against someone that she does not sing very well, or he does not sing very well. I would never listen because of this impression that she doesn't sing well or he doesn't sing well. So this prejudices creates a problem. Similarly, in a house also, we have so many impressions about each other. Moment we drop these precognitive biases, which are built day after day, every single moment we create these biases. In our Hindu culture, we call these cognitive biases as samskaras. Swami Vivekananda used to address these as cognates. He used to say, if any particular object, when someone describes, and if that object is not familiar to you in your cognition, in your mind, then you say, these cognates are absent in my mind. But if you are familiar with it, that means similar cognates are present in your consciousness. This is because of samskars. These samskars we carry life after life. And as long as these samskars remain in our system, in our spiritual system, they create our destiny. If by chance, if I have the ability of removing these samskars, removing these cognates, then I will not have to undergo that particular experience. Thus, I am freeing myself from the influence of my previous karma. This is the essence of entire Hindu philosophy. Moment one gets out of this samskara or burden of samskara, either through bhoga or through yoga, one attains liberation. If you have no samskara to go through, why would you be born again? When you have good samskaras versus when you have bad samskaras. But we are product of combination of good and bad. We are a mixture of all kinds of samskaras which we have built. Youngsters especially, they ask these days, who created these samskars? I said, you created this samskar. Then they say, how did I create samskar? I said, I give you a very small example. There are many other elders, ladies and gentlemen, they were present, so I could not give them the very extraordinary example. But the example that came to me, that when you're walking through a beautiful garden, every day that's your path to office or path to your school. When you're passing through this garden, what catches your eyes on the way? They say, oh, there is a beautiful garden and I love flowers. I said, okay. Have you ever thought of going near the flower because you like that flower so much? He said, yes, I do go. What do you do next? He said, I try to hold it with my hand. And then he said, I try to inhale fragrance. And then if nobody is looking around, I try to pluck the flower and take it home. I say, you see, from a simple process of getting attached to a simple thing like flower, you want to possess it, you want to take it home. Every action, every thought, every feeling creates such webs. Not just one, but many. It would have been wonderful if one samskara that we go through and say, oh, one bhoga is over. No. Once you have interacted with nice flower, you'll say, wow, I would like to interact with another dozen beautiful, more fragrant flowers. There is no end to this karma and again resounding karma, samskaras, and again more creation of samskaras. So we create a kind of a jail around us, complexities around us. That's why Lord Krishna talks about performing our karma in such a way that we do not form samskaras. Okay? We do not form bij, seeds for the next life or next karma. It should not become a chain reaction. Once I perform a karma, it should end there and there. It should not give birth to another, or third, or fourth. There should not be a chain reaction. I think Kavita was talking about this aspect, that how we tend to create chain reactions of multiple events out of one single event. One person hurt, in the process you end up hurting half a dozen more. We also collect many samskaras on the way, end up creating more and more complexities around us, and that changes our destiny. Either you add samskaras to your life, that changes your destiny, or you subtract, remove these samskaras. Then to that extent, you may not have to go through those destined or destiny that was assigned to us. So the whole practice, spiritual practice, in the words of Swami Vivekananda, if I have to put it very briefly, he says all spiritual practices. He generalizes, he makes a beautiful general statement about spirituality. He says it is all about widening the available consciousness, which is like a thin film of water, which is sandwiched between two giant oceans. Allow it to grow into sky of superconsciousness, and allow your consciousness to merge into the giant ocean of subconsciousness. It's a beautiful analogy he has described. It is up to us how to make our available consciousness to reach superconscious state and allow it to plunge into subconscious. It is possible only through a spiritual practice, through our rightful meditation practices. Not every meditation will lead you to removal of these cognitive biases or samskaras. Every practice, the results should become obvious to us in the very first session. If not, then you got to think of something else. The very first encounter to a guru or to a practice should challenge your heart and say, is this right or wrong? Even before you answer this question, your heart will say, if you find peace in the very first session, you'll say, yes, I like this. And make that path, make that way your own path, so that our destiny can be changed and attain the final state which we all crave for. See, our literature, especially Gita talks about Sthita Pragya state. Lord Rama, when he is having a dialogue with his brother and Mother Sita, that period, Ramayana period, was all about the discussion on consciousness. At the same time, Mother Sita's father, Raja Janak, when he is having a dialogue with Astavakra, they're talking of consciousness. Lakshman's questions to his brother, they're all about consciousness. Sage Vasishtha Rishi, that period he had written all about consciousness. It is today known as Vasishtha Samhita. So we had a great period, where everyone, it was a fashion statement to talk about, to discuss about, to contemplate about, to meditate on aspect of consciousness. They did not worry about religious practices like whom to worship, which temple to build. None of these were present in those days. Vedic period doesn't mention of anything of this sort. Why? One wonders why Vedas and Upanishads, our Sanatana Dharma, does not mention all these things. It is because those rishis, those sages, did not find a need for an external agency to help them remind of God. It's a tragedy that we have to use forms, photos, Sangeet, etc., to remind us of God. If this reminder was already innate in our existence, in our self, in our heart, then this form that we worship, we'll say, Akar se nirakar ki or jana hai. Then where is the need of all these things? When I move from sabda to sunya, तो शब्द की क्या जरूरत है? So both the things that we depend on today in today's society, all the loudspeakers going gaga early mornings and disturbing the peaceful hours of meditation, children who have to study, all night they go on banging these loudspeakers, this song and that song. I'm not against songs, but this would be listened when you're quiet, to encourage, to inspire your journey further, to increase some sort of a nourishment, to facilitate your mood so that you can dive deeper into meditation. See? So destiny is in our hands. How we change our precognitive biases faster, we will be able to change our seeds of this destiny maker. Finally, I would like to submit a beautiful analogy that what makes me sad and what makes me happy. When we ponder over this, when the results that we expected are favorable, we feel happy. And when they are not so favorable, we feel unhappy. It's very simple. Now, on what depends all these results? Then we think, oh, when I made my decisions with the heart, when the decision was made with my heart, that the outcome was as per my expectation. It was good. All my friends who are listening to me, I would request you to reflect on this, that whenever you have made a bad decision, go back. What made you make such a decision? Then it will be known to you immediately. It will be highlighted that at that time your heart was guiding not to do it, and yet you did it. So destiny making is a choice. Freedom that I enjoy now, freedom of making choices, will create my destiny. What I do now, and whatever I do now, will depend upon how I think and kinds of attitude I have. And out of many thoughts, many possibilities, many choices I have, how will I be able to make one choice out of 10? For that, we need to meditate and filter out all those choices. If you like, I can help you go through this process of meditation, how we meditate. And if you want to further go into details how to remove all these complexities and impurities which are built up over time, we call samskaras. Samskaras are nothing but these complexities and impurities we carry life after life. That needs to be filtered, that needs to be purified and simplified. Do we have moment to go through these 10-15 minutes of meditation? Or you want me to continue speaking? Anyway, there is no answer.
We can have a meditation session.
Okay. So I urge you all to sit comfortably. I will help you with this process of meditation. I would like you to experience it rather than believing. It is best to experience then you can say yes, that our ancient tradition of meditation is great, and we all can meditate. Whether you believe in this system or that system, it doesn't matter. The process here is very simple. You sit comfortably and first try to relax the entire physical body, see, and then we go to the next level of going into spiritual experience of divinity, which is felt through our heart. So during meditation, we imagine the presence of divinity in the form of divine light. So we make a sankalpa and say that this source of divine presence is in my heart, and I'm meditating on it. So we meditate on this idea. That's all. It's very subtle. Think also that this idea is attracting my attention inward. Rest of the work is done by our Guruji, who transmits to us, who sends out this pranahuti. Wherever you are, you will experience that effect of pranahuti on you. We'll sit like this for another 10-15 minutes. Later, I'll take up questions. So please gently close your eyes. I'll walk you through this process of relaxation first. Think that the energy from Mother Earth is entering your system, your body, through your feet, which is helping us relax. Permit this energy to move upward, helping your lower legs and calf muscles and knees relax. Now please allow this energy to move upward to your thigh muscles and your hip area, helping you relax.
Meditating. Mute. You've got muted in.
Allow this energy to move into your back, helping you relax your back. Permit this energy to move in front, your abdominal muscles and chest area. Now allow this energy to move to your shoulders, shoulder muscles. Feel as if they're almost melting away and becoming lighter. Allow this energy to descend into your arms, allowing the energy to relax the entire arm, including your palms and fingers. Now please pay attention to your neck muscles. Feel the relaxation there. Drop your jaws and allow your tongue to float gently in your mouth. Let your lips, your nose, eyebrows, eyelids, forehead, your earlobes relax. Now, allow this energy to move upward, top of your head. Okay. Now scan the whole system from top to toe and feel the relaxation. Whenever you practice this relaxation, anytime, and you feel any part of your body is not so relaxed and there is some tension, you can revisit that organ, the system, and help it relax, and then enter into meditation. Now you're ready to begin meditation. Focus on your heart. Think of the presence of divine light, which is attracting your attention inward. If other thoughts do come, let them. Gently, please remind yourself that I am meditating on presence of divine light. Bas कीजिए, that's all. So generally we practice this meditation for half hour to start with in the morning, or those who say I don't have time, they should fix the timing at least and meditate, even if it is for 10 minutes, and see how it revolutionizes your life altogether. In the evening, also, we have a similar practice, how to remove our impressions or samskaras, or what we call in science today as precognitive or cognitive biases, and get out of all these complexities that we have created. And before we go to sleep, offer a simple prayer to God. God, without any face, because some people they say, oh, he has many heads and many hands and many legs. I think it is imagination, so that you know that he is greater than us. He actually doesn't have a form. It will be very humorous to even call such an entity as he or she, who is beyond everything. See, so we have to pray, and this prayer is very simple. That my God, I don't know you. I haven't experienced you. I like to feel your presence, and I like to be one with you. Simple prayer. And when we cry our hearts out and say, my Lord, I really, really want to feel your presence without any biases. Moment you bring in a bias, which I was telling you about, our cognitive bias, you ask a lady, especially elderly person or elderly man in his 80s or her 80s, and you ask a simple question, do you believe in God? They say, what kind of questions are you asking? Don't you think I'm a believer of God? I said, say yes or no. Yes. The next question you ask, why do you believe in God? Then what will be their answer? Because my father taught me this, my mother taught me this, my religion taught me this, my community taught me, our shastras talk like this. But what do you say? Have you experienced God? Then only one person in the whole humanity will come up, persons like Ramakrishna. Say, yes, I have experienced. You come here, I'll make you experience this. Find such a guru. They are there. They will help you experience. But this experience may not be as per your wishes, because you would like to see me like a monkey or an elephant or someone hanging on a cross. No. Then you will fail. We have to move away from akar to nirakar, all kinds of forms, and go beyond forms also and formlessness. Then there is a hope that yes, with such a neutral, unbiased mind, with innocent heart, we can experience God. Moment you have any sort of bias, you will spoil your experience. So now, having touched upon, few aspects of spirituality, I would like, if you have any question, we can tackle those questions. You're muted.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. We have quite a few questions, but there wouldn't be time for all of them, as quite a few thousands of people are watching this. So I would like to take some questions. Dr. Sanjeev Bakshi from Hyderabad has sent us, in fact, 5 questions. There wouldn't be time for that. But, he has this very basic question saying that how can wisdom be inculcated in a human being? And his next very important question is inculcating wisdom enough, or do you need some other ancillary qualities to put it to good use? So we would start with that.
Okay. So let us tackle with the answer, simple answer Swami Vivekananda gives, that purpose of any spiritual practice is to arrive at expansion of consciousness. Now, if we consider that as the base or the ideal of our life, expansion of consciousness, what does it really mean? Consciousness in Hindi we call it Chetana, Chit. Now, what is Chit? Chit is made up of 3 things: Manas, Buddhi, and Ahankar. Mind, intellect, and ego. That forms the basis of consciousness. Now, if I had to improve my consciousness, I have to improve these 3 basic elements, constituents: mind, intellect, and ego. How do I propel my mind? So I have to allow its function to improve. Mind's function is to think, sochna. But I can, if I develop the ability of feeling things, as you were saying in our prayer, God, when we think of God, versus when I feel the presence of God, there's a big difference, right? So we have to move away from thinking to feeling. And that happens through yogic practices. Another example I give you, it's a practical example. I'm from my real life. I have done many businesses, and whenever I get into a trap, I would spend weeks or months together thinking about that business problem. And mother would ask or wife would ask, "Kya ho gaya? Kyun itne चिंतित दिखाई रहे हो? You look occupied." I said, "Kuch nahi, nothing special." But they put their fingers in your mouth and take the words out. You know how our family is. And you end up spilling your problems to your wife or mother. And abruptly, without a second breath, they will give you the answer, on which you have mentally spoiled your thoughts. And so, 3 महीना निकल जाए, इसने धड़ाक करके जवाब दे दिया. Because they operate from a different level. Especially ladies, they feel, they think. So at an evolutionary level, the role of mind changes from thinking to feeling. Likewise, the gentleman who asked the question, Shiv from Hyderabad, what is wisdom? Wisdom is an evolved intellect. How we make our intellect
more
become
evolved.
Intelligence evolve into intuition into a kind of wisdom. Now, if I develop this ability of not dissecting the problems, but intuitively arrive at a wisdom-based solution, I need not have gone through that experience at all. Generally, wisdom is considered as one who is very well experienced. And based on this experience, they make a wiser decisions. But yoga says, you need not have gone through a previous experience, but your intuitive heart will guide you whether this is right or wrong. And this can happen only when your heart and mind are still. They're calm, where every vibration is felt. How rishis in the past used to feel things. The slokas did not come in the form of words in Vedas. They came in the form of shrutis. It descended in the form of vibrations. They felt it in their heart. And the heart transcribed those feelings into words. When we offer prayer, which is full of words, is now to reverse the process that these words should create feelings in my heart, and these feelings will reach to God. Words are just a medium. Similarly, feelings, wisdom, intuition, whatever you may like to call, they all contribute in evolution of my consciousness. Next question could be, what is this consciousness? What is backing this consciousness? As you say, we don't have time, but one day we'll sure discuss, or if you like, you can log into our website and look for such fundamental questions will be answered. And more than an answer, my interest is, don't look for answers, look for experience, which you can have anytime you log into one of our apps and request for meditation. You see, this is our app, Hearts app. You don't have to go to any guru's house or ashrams. You log into it from your bedroom, privacy of your home, and be guided through a trainer. A trainer could be anywhere. For example, you may be awake at 2 o'clock in the morning and you suddenly felt like, oh, I want to meditate. You can use this app and see how that meditation helps you arrive at a most refined state of consciousness, which you will really enjoy. You see?
True.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Patel.